Hey, I'm Doug. Welcome to Backcountry Pilgrim. Today I'm going to be looking at a couple of backpacks, starting off with my Mountainsmith Zerk40, which I have reviewed on another video that you can click on in the description below. I'm going to be comparing it to another 40-liter backpack, one that I have acquired recently, and I'm trying to decide whether or not it's going to beat the Zerk40, which has been one of my favorite packs in 2020. For 2021, I'm looking to change things up a little bit, and I'm considering the Durston Drop 40L, a 40-liter pack sold by Drop.com that promises to be a pretty innovative pack, and I'm hoping that it's going to work out. For those of you that have followed the channel from about the beginning, you know that I've gone back and forth with so many packs. It's just been kind of ridiculous. But when I was going through my backpacks, I was looking for something that would work as a combination long-term backpacking backpack and something I could take on the Camino, which I was supposed to do in May of 2020 until the coronavirus ruined it. Now, at that time, I had finally decided on the Osprey Atmos AG50. Another pack that I review elsewhere. It was the most comfortable. I felt it would be the best for load hauling, but I quickly came to realize that it was a pretty heavy pack meant for pretty heavy loads, and that was not really what I was aiming for as far as my backpacking loadout. So I found the Mountainsmith Zerk40 on a Facebook marketplace group for a good deal, and I was very surprised that this backpack, which was utterly unlike my Osprey Atmos, was so comfortable. Now, since that time, my gear has evolved, and I recently tried to see if all of it would fit neatly in the Zerk40, and it was a pretty tight fit. The Zerk40 is a 40-liter pack, but only if you utilize all of the outside compartments and the interior of the bag. It just doesn't really fit like I expected it to when it's really loaded down. And I decided that I really like having a padded hip belt. I like having a frame. I like having that weight diverted onto my hips, and the Zerk40 is really not meant to be carried that way. So I've been curious about the Drop 40 for quite a while. This is a backpack designed by Dan Durston. Drop also carries a couple of his tents. It had some features that the Zerk40 did not that I was interested in exploring. For one thing, the Drop 40 is a framed pack. It's a very light frame pack. It also has a full hip belt with pretty generous hip belt pockets. It's also made out of an X-Pack material that promises to be at least somewhat weatherproof. And all of those features are missing on the Zerk40. Now, don't get me wrong, the Zerk40 is an awesome pack. This thing weighs in at 28 ounces for a 40-liter pack. It's like having a piece of paper in your hand. And I was surprised at how comfortable these big, wide, cushioned straps were. When this pack is on, I feel all of the weight pushing into me, into my chest instead of on my shoulders, and it's just a super comfortable pack. But I've only really used it for day pack kind of loads, and because the Zerk40 only has this strap for a hip belt that doesn't actually go around my hips anyway because of the pack size, it isn't a very good load carrier for me. Now again, when I got the Zerk40, I was thinking with the Camino in mind. I was thinking of something small enough to fit on carry-on. I was also looking for something right in the 40-liter range, something that was very lightweight, and the Zerk40 seemed to fit the bill. Now, some of the things I didn't really like about the Zerk40 was the suspension. I also would have liked something that was a little bit more weatherproof. Another thing about the Zerk40 is that if you buy it new, it's a $220 backpack. It is very lightweight, it is very comfortable, it's got a million pockets, but most of the pockets are stretch mesh. You just end up with stuff sticking out everywhere, and although it's great for ease of access, which is the point of a fast pack, for me, I just don't really like it as far as backpacking. I just don't like having a bunch of stuff stuffed in my backpack and protruding out all over the place. Now, the Drop 40 is a 40-liter pack, but in the medium-large size that I got, it's actually 43 liters, and most of that storage is internal. It does have a nice big front pocket sort of thing, which is actually a very small pocket held together by cordage, so it's not a stuff pocket the way most backpacks are. It's great for jackets and sort of larger items, but something small is going to slip right out through that cordage, not going to work for you. The side pockets are very big and generous, and there's even an additional side pocket on the side of the side pocket that is zipper, weather resistant, and quite big. So this is great for storing items that maybe you don't want to fall out of the pocket, something, you know, really vital that you don't want getting wet. The small pocket on the front also has a weather-resistant zipper. This is a pretty flat storage pocket, not going to get a lot in here. But this is what I was talking about with the cordage. This thing is great for something like a jacket, which isn't going to slip through cordage, but you're not going to want to put a water filter or tent poles in here. The sides also have a very lightweight series of compression cordage. And when it comes to the pockets, these are not mesh, they are full material. These pockets will have no trouble with trekking poles, small tents, Nalgene bottle, a couple water bottles. They're very generous in size. One of the unique features of these pockets is that they do not exactly match. The one on the back left, if you're reaching behind you, is pretty tight on top, and it just has a round opening that is constricted to keep things from falling out. Whereas on the right rear side, you have a downward angle cut into the pocket, which is going to make it easier for getting water bottles out. Moving around to the back, you will see the vertical carry handle and the straps. Now, these are decently cushioned straps, not massively thick, but they are fairly wide and have some decent cushion. The straps do have one attachment loop that is right above a pretty long pocket, zippered, and it is made of stretch mesh. Not big enough for a full-size phone, but there's a lot you can get in these. Each strap has the full complement of features. The sternum strap is not a lot to brag about. There is no whistle, and it is quite small, but it seems to do the job. And then finally, when it comes to the hip belt, you have a full-sized, fully cushioned hip belt. There is no lumbar support in the pack. It's completely flat. The pockets are a fairly decent size, and the zippers definitely work. They're not too difficult to use. And the pockets are fairly generous, although they don't exactly fit my full-size phone, but I don't really use hip belt pockets for my phone anyway. The Zerk40, because it has basically no hip belt other than just a strap, doesn't have any hip belt pockets. Instead, it relies on several front strap pockets and side pockets for easy-to-reach grabbing. Both of the packs are actually roll tops, so they come together like a dry bag. Neither one of the packs has a lid, neither one of them has a separate hydration bladder compartment. As far as weight goes, the Drop 40 came in on my scale at 33 ounces, so that puts it 5 ounces higher than the Zerk40. The Zerk40 measures 19 by 12 by 6, whereas the Drop 40 is somewhere around 24 by 13 by 8 when it's packed. And finally, the other thing I like about the Drop 40 is that it runs about $120, so it is a good price point for a pack like that. Fantastic price point, really, given the features that it has. However, the big thing for me is comfort. What's going to happen when I load it up with a decent amount of gear? Is it going to be as comfortable as the Zerk40? Now, my assumption was that because the Drop 40 has a full suspension system, hip belt, load lifters, the whole deal, that it was probably going to carry additional weight better than the Zerk40. So I have loaded up the Drop 40 with about 15 pounds of gear plus a couple drinks in the pockets, and I'm going to see what I think about the fit. Now I've got everything super loose right now. I'm going to start with the hip belt. All right, the hip belt feels good. I don't have pressure on my middle back. It is seated right on my hip bones. So I'm going to give the straps just a pull. Now the load lifters, I'm going to just get them to where they engage. They're not really pulling any weight right now. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing right away is that these straps are very wide. I mean, they feel like they're falling off my shoulders. Now I haven't engaged the sternum strap yet, but I'm not really feeling pressure on my shoulders, which is nice. But they're hitting me. I mean, the edge of this is practically under my arm. The inside edge is practically under my arm. The sternum strap is already maxed out, and it's not even reaching to the other strap. Like, this is as close as it gets. So I'm going to loosen these back up and see if something went wrong here. I'm actually going to start with the sternum strap. You'll see I'm running into two issues here. If I use the sternum strap, it's actually pulling the straps inward like this so that the edge is digging into me. I feel like I've got two straps about this wide coming down, and that's what's holding it. It's not contacting my chest. These are like wings floating around here. They're cutting into my arm. And I mean, I can get my hands under these. These aren't providing any support at all. Just to exaggerate it, I'm really going to crank the sternum strap down, and you can probably see now that these are just sticking straight out. The problem is the straps are too wide on me, and the only thing that makes them go in and out is the sternum strap, which if I take it and pull on it, it just bends the straps up. I'm not really sure what other adjustments there are to make though. I mean, I could take the load lifters down and crank the straps down even harder, but that just makes it tighter. It doesn't lay this side down on me. And there really isn't any adjustment you can make to a shoulder strap that's going to pull the edges down. This is just where it is. So looking at the two packs, I am noticing a big difference. If you look at the connection that the straps make with each pack, the strap attachments on the Drop 40L are very wide. It's about 5.5 inches across from the inside of the straps, whereas for example on the Zerk40, they're barely 3.5. That is a pretty big difference. Now the Zerk40 really doesn't have any adjustments other than the bottom adjusters. So when I put this on, pretty much either works or it doesn't. The straps are definitely a lot closer. They lie right across my chest. I can feel pressure from here all the way down. The bottoms are flat against my rib cage. This is flat against my chest, and these are barely touching my shoulders. They're quite a bit closer, and I feel like the entire strap is being used to support the pack instead of just the edge. Also, my arms can move absolutely freely. They are not coming in contact with the straps basically at all. This is a very different fit. Okay, I have now loaded the Zerk40 up with the exact same stuff that was in the Drop 40L. Okay, so with no hip belt, with just the straps alone in this frameless pack, I can say that honestly, right away I'm noticing much more comfort in the straps. They just feel cushioned, they feel nice and tight, the pack's not moving around. I don't even really need the hip belt. I can put it on just for stabilization, but it's not load bearing, so it really doesn't make too much difference. Now the difference I think here is that I do feel the pack pulling back a little bit. I can feel a little bit more strain in the shoulder area. A lot of the pressure is on my chest, like I said before, even on the rib cage. I can definitely move around more freely. I feel like I have less pack on me. Weight bearing, load wise, I could see this being pretty irritating after not very long on the trail. I have taken the Zerk40 out. Right around 10 miles or so, I started getting pretty tired of it being on my back. So I already kind of know what I think about this pack. And the trouble that I have with it is that there really is no adjustment. Once you're uncomfortable, you're just kind of hosed because there's not a lot you can do. There's no load lifters. You can't really adjust any straps to change the fit very much because there just aren't enough adjustments to make. Feature-wise, I have to say I would definitely hand it to the Drop 40. I love the fact that it is largely weatherproof. I like where the pockets are. I like having a real hip belt. I like having hip belt pockets. I like having load lifters. I think that some of the design decisions that Dan made are quite clever. I love that side pocket idea, and I'm intrigued by the usefulness of the front pocket, which is really more of a set of cordage with a flat pocket at the top of it. It's an unusual design, but I like it in theory. I do like the fit of the Zerk40. It is a super comfortable pack, but again, you kind of have to get it right the first time because there's not going to be a lot of opportunity for adjustment once you get going. I do wish that the Zerk40 was more weather resistant, and I'm not super comfortable with the idea of having almost nothing but stretch mesh pockets all over the pack to stuff all my gear in. As with most things in backpacking, at the end of the day, this is going to be a personal choice. For me, I think I'm going to keep looking. Alright, I hope this video has been informative and entertaining for you. If it has, would you mind giving it a like? And if you haven't subscribed to Backcountry Pilgrim, click that bright red button down there and become a subscriber. If you click that bell, you can also make sure that YouTube gives you notifications when new videos drop. Until next time, I'm Doug. This is Backcountry Pilgrim. Thanks for watching.